your brain fog, why you can't lose weight, why you simply don't feel good anymore. Most likely, you tried everything. All right, could it be plastic? Wait a minute. I've heard all this stuff about plastic and how we need to avoid. I'm going to say right off the top, you're not going to avoid all plastic, but I am going to show you what you need to avoid if you want to really impact your health. I mean, if you're someone out there with anxiety, if you do have hormone challenges and you're trying to take more hormones, wondering why it's not working, right? And you just seem to be battling the low energy through your day. You need stimulants to get through a day. Please listen. I'm going to tell you some simple things you could do to avoid this toxin. Okay, first of all, have you seen some of the new studies out there? A teaspoon of the weight of plastic in the human brain, that's causing massive inflammation in the brain, which, guess what the first symptom is? Brain fog. Feel like you can't think anymore. All right, no doubt, that's affecting all of us. Oh, and by the way, you know what the study showed? Out of all the organs and tissues in the body, the brain had 10 times more plastic. We need to be concerned. All your sex organs, ovaries, testicles, prostate, driving inflammation and also driving more hormone problems. Okay, it's the chemicals in plastic that mimic hormones and causes hormone havoc in our body, but also plastics get in and around our fat tissues, our cell membranes, drive inflammation. They block your hormones from getting in the cell so we don't feel well. Look, plastic has been linked for many years to many different types of cancer. That's not my opinion, but I know it's so popular that if you look at the store, the canned food, it'll say BPA-free, because all of us, I think, listening to my voice right now, would know that BPA is a chemical in plastic that causes hormone problems and cancer. Here's the problem. Newsflash. BPA warnings on food, BPA-free, it's good marketing. They're not telling you that it's loaded with all of the other plastic chemicals that are just as hormone disrupting, like phthalates and other chemicals you can't even pronounce that are endocrine disruptors. That means hormone disruptors. The problem is this. There is no doubt, just in the last 10 years, the amount of plastic in human tissue is going through the roof. So what do we do? Because I know what you're saying. I can't avoid it. I have all of these things that, having plastic in today. This is the big take home. Never, ever put hot things in plastic. Don't drink water out of water bottles anymore. Look, glass right here. Came into the studio. I said, nope, not drinking the plastic. Fortunately, they had this. But it's glass, always glass. If I go on a golf course, or I'm bringing a glass bottle or one of my metal containers, and I bring my own water. Okay, so start there. But never, ever hot things in plastic, meaning you don't put hot leftovers in Tupperware because the heat pulls those chemicals right into the food and we're eating the food. These are the major exposures. Here's another one. Do not put acidic food because that also pulls plastic. As an example of that, tomato sauce, right? Things like that. Fatty foods, never in plastic because fat pulls the chemicals right into the food. So fatty, hot, acidic food, never in plastic. What if you're going to put something like pretzels, as an example, in a plastic container? No big deal. What about your pills in a plastic container? No big deal. It's not going to go into those things. You see? What about plastic wrap on a dish of spaghetti, something? That's a big deal. Don't put plastic wrap on that. If you do, make sure it doesn't touch the food. It's not going to jump in. So you can use plastic wrap. Don't let it touch the food. You see what I'm saying? These are the big problems. Change the water that you're drinking. Get an RO system for your house. You shouldn't be drinking tap water anyway. Another subject for another day. But the fact is, doing these big plastic moves is the key. I believe RO is important because a lot of water is running through PVC, and you might fill up your hot water. That just went through plastic piping, right? So having a good water filtration system or drinking out of glass bottles is really important. Okay, also, this may sound like a small one, but ladies, your makeup. It's so worth reaching for, and there's so many good companies out there right now, the healthy makeup, because they're loaded with chemicals from plastic. It's hard to believe, but it's true. But here's the thing. It has a lot of other chemicals in these makeups. So the fact is, yes, a lot of them have heavy metals, but yes, a lot of them have something called forever chemicals, another subject, but these are also hormone disrupting. If you can change what you're putting on your skin, that is a big deal. One step at a time, right? We start with the water. What are we drinking out of, right? We start with what we're storing and touching our food with. That's a big deal. Water, food. Listen, if you just start there, that's huge. My team developed a plastic guide that leads you like all the way through. Like, here's the big ones, and it can lead you all the way even through to the other exposures that we need to do to get plastic out of our life. But listen, if you want that, I'll put a link in the description below for the plastic guide. There's nothing selling anything. Literally, this is what we give our clients. My doctors give their clients to help them come off of the plastic. But this is a big deal because when we look at diabetes, when we look at weight loss resistance, when we look at thyroid, plastic is a part of it. Now, look, I've been teaching cellular detox for 20 some years. I believe if people want to regain their health today, diet's not enough. We absolutely have to detox. But what is the first step, right? Because I describe it as someone's bucket filling up. We inherit our parents' toxins, then we get our own exposures, and then one day the bucket overflows, and that's when the symptoms start, right? That's when the brain fog, that's when the energy, that's when the anxiety, can't sleep, aches and pains. Your bucket's overflowing, and the bucket is the stress bucket, but the number one stressor is toxins, plastic being one of them, right? But we have to empty the bucket. And that's what my detox shows how to do at the cellular level. But what's going in your bucket? You right now have control to slow down the spigot that's pouring water into that bucket and causing it to overflow. And if plastic is disruptive, as the science is showing, then why not do this for your family? Why not do it for you? Get rid of the big exposures, turn down the spigot, slow down what's going in the bucket. Yep. And your brain fog just might go away. Hey, you might start losing weight again. That gut problem? Well, see what happens, because plastic is that huge of an exposure. Make the change. Okay, so here's what I'm hearing. Most people reach for the plastic water bottle. They think about, I'm drinking out of plastic, but then they go ahead and drink, right? That might be you or someone you know. But here's the reality. You know what the study showed? 214 microplastics in 1 liter of water. So imagine this. Imagine that I could dye those microplastics, right? And there they are, and you see them in the water, and you see it filled this much with these microplastics. Would you drink it? The answer is no, you wouldn't drink it. You'd see the microplastics. So the fact that you don't see the 240,000 microplastics in there, they're still there, right? So imagine if we just had a little bit of dye, we drop it in the water and all the microplastics light up. None of us would be drinking it. So the fact is, remind yourself that they're in there. Look, that's 240,000 microplastics per liter. You wonder why we have a teaspoon weight of plastic in our brain. You wonder why it's getting into sex glands. And you wonder why the world is reaching for hormones and how many thyroid cases. What about the estrogen, the progesterone? And you know what? Most people say they start taking hormones and they actually don't feel better, even though their blood work looks better. You know why that is? Because they're not getting rid of the source. Imagine if you just made a rule in your life right now and said, no more plastic bottles. I remember the day I made the rule. I said, that's it. I'm not doing it anymore. Because when I would find myself doing this when I was traveling, but I said, nope, it's too easy. There's metal bottles and I can bring my own. I'm not doing it anymore. Or I just go without water. But you can buy water in glass, many different places. But the point is even hotels will accommodate today. So it's easier than you think. But the point isn't that. I made a decision that you need to make for you and your family. No more water out of bottles because 240 microplastics. You know what those microplastics do, by the way? They turn in, and you've heard this word, into something called nanoplastics. And those nanoplastics go deep into tissue, causing all this cellular inflammation and hormone disrupting. Listen, I wish you could all learn my detox because getting this stuff out of the cells is absolutely paramount. But what you have control over right now is what's coming into that bucket and filling your bucket for you and your family. Start with the water. What are you storing your food in? Be careful with plastic wraps. No hot food, no acid food, no fatty food. If you just go by those rules, yeah, you're going to lower your load. We know plastic is accumulating in our oceans. It's affecting the environment. Okay, I know this is a political topic, but you know what we can all agree on, whether you're left or right? Plastic is polluting the environment. None of us want it. But here's the thing. Whether you're on the left or the right, I see everyone still drinking out of plastic. Where's your politics now? Okay, so vote with your dollars. It's like we don't need this stuff in our bodies. We don't need it in the environment because if it's in the environment, guess what? It's in our bodies. And I hate to say it, I'm more concerned about me and my kids than I am a lot about the political agenda. But fact is, vote with your dollars. Choose glass. Choose metal containers. Choose better.